what role does, getting back to something more pleasant in this regard and
Yeah.
bridging, what role does humor play? Perhaps there and
Oh,
perhaps other places. How do you use it?
it's another thing too, being on the other side of the fence, and I don't think a lot of doctors realize how intimidating they can be. People are coming into their most vulnerable state. They're coming in sick, or they're to find out if they are sick. It's a scary situation. I've seen people who haven't slept the night before when they come in. So to break the ice, I think sense of humor is important. To let people know that I'm a human and not just a physician in a white coat, and that I care. And then later on when it's one of my patients told me this the other day, and I really appreciated it. He said, you're the only doctor I look forward to coming to see. And I remember another story about my mom's best friend who had this tumor. And when she was very, very young, she went to a doctor, and the doctor basically made her feel fat. And she never wanted to go back to a doctor. So she didn't go back to a doctor when a tumor was the size of a pea, and it turned into a grapefruit.
Wow.
So I think it's important to make us accessible, make us, just kind of tone us down a little bit and make sure that we're people.
I completely agree, and thank you so much for saying those things. One of the things that I'm working on, and I hope it sounds like you're going to take part in, is improvisation. Tell me what you know about improvisation, and based on what you know, maybe how it might be a positive thing for exactly what you're talking about in terms of relationship.
I think improvisation is huge. I've seen actually what you've done with your project so far. I saw some people who I may or may not be affiliated with, and they were having a great time, which is first and foremost. I think these should be fun initiatives. I like the idea of improv because it kind of induces spontaneity and quick thinking. And actually, bradyphrenia, which is slowness of thought, is one of the first cognitive issues in Parkinson's disease. Brady is slow, phrenia is thinking, so it's slowness of thinking. And it's often the first cognitive complaint that Parkinson's patients have and that they present with. The most common is something called tip of the tongue phenomenon, or word finding difficulty, where you know what you want to say, you just can't find that right word. So obviously, put in an improv setting where people are kind of spontaneously thinking and have to come up with things quickly and different words and different thoughts. I think it's a good idea. Just like boxing kind of fine tunes the motor features for Parkinson's, I think improv is a good way to fine tune the cognitive features.
I appreciate that, and I want to, continue that dialogue and have you in class as well, because number one, it does the humanizing element, like you talked about. Many of the people that you may or may not be affiliated with mentioned that they love the teamwork aspect, the community aspect, and that's certainly something we're building. And also, just from a scientific standpoint, there isn't a lot of research on this right now. There was that great report by Northwestern and Second City published at the beginning of last year, and that's where I got sparked to do this. But I don't think it needs an awful lot more. I think improvisation, much like meditation and some other non-invasive types of modalities, can do great things for both the whole community, not just the patient, but the caregiver and the provider as well, to bring us into a better space.
I agree completely, and definitely the idea of the community. I think it's really important for Parkinson's patients to know, it's a really common disease, and they tend to have kind of similar personalities, and bringing them together really seems to have good results. And so I really think it's important too.
Yeah, last thing on that, and I know we're about over time here, so I just want to hit on that. You mentioned about the similarities within Parkinson's. We know the differences too. Something that I've heard before is, if you've met one Parkinson's patient, well, you've met one Parkinson's patient, right? Because they like to point out the differences.
Yeah.
At the same
Yeah.
time, the similarities, one of the things I see, and I certainly see it in my dad, is the opportunity, I think it's with any chronic disease, to isolate and to feel shameful. Talk about the opportunity and importance of community versus the danger, perhaps, of isolation.
That's huge. I think there's social reasons and also scientific reasons why people get isolated with Parkinson's disease. The social reasons are obviously, you have a tremor, if you're drooling, that's kind of embarrassing, and people tend to internalize that and feel like people are staring at them or something's wrong with them, etc. And then scientifically, the lack of dopamine can cause depression and kind of induce isolation as well. So any opportunity to get out in the community, to get outside, to interact with other people, I think is really important for people with Parkinson's. And it's honestly half the battle, because once you can kind of overcome that fear and allay that concern, then you start exercising more, you start becoming more invested in your own health, and it's a good opportunity.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for your time, Brent. It's very nice to get to know you even better, and I look forward to improvising with you soon.
Me too. Thank you so much, Robert. I appreciate it.
All right. For Faces of Parkinson's, I'm Robert Cochran. We'll see you next time.